Have you ever been in that situation where someone you care about suddenly starts mentioning someone else, a rival, maybe real, maybe not, and it just sends you into a total tailspin of anxiety? We're going to talk about why they do that, and trust me, the real reason is almost never what you think it is.
You finally achieved silence, found peace, and began to move forward. Yet the moment you are truly happy, they reappear. It's uncanny, right? It's like they have a sixth sense for when you're finally doing okay. This is that dark paradox of going no contact. You set a boundary to protect yourself, but for them, it's just a new challenge. And that push and pull, that sudden reappearance right when you found your footing, well, you need to understand it's not an accident. It is absolutely a strategy.
So, this begs the real questions, doesn't it? Why is this particular move so incredibly powerful? How does it manage to hook us so effectively? And what is the manipulator's real endgame here? Because it's not what it looks like on the surface. We're about to pull back the curtain on the hidden mechanics of this whole destructive game.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. We'll start with that reappearance paradox. Then we'll define exactly what manufactured jealousy is. We'll break down something called the threat induction loop, get into the psychology behind it all, and then, most importantly, we'll talk about how you defend yourself. All leading to the final idea, winning by not playing.
Right, let's start with the setup. The reappearance paradox. That moment they slide back into your life just as you're healing. It's not a coincidence. It's not because they miss you in some healthy, genuine way. No. It is a calculated opening move. It's designed to do one thing, yank you right back into their drama and prove they still have control over your emotions. And this is the part that can be a tough pill to swallow. Their goal is not love. It's not reconnection. The goal is to create an emotional crisis inside of you. They manufacture a sense of scarcity, that sudden, terrifying feeling that you're about to lose them to someone else. Why? Because your panic is their proof. It confirms their power. It proves to them that they still dominate your emotional world. It's a test, plain and simple, to see if they can still pull your strings.
So this calculated test, this whole strategy, brings us to the tactic itself. And to defend against a weapon, you have to know its name. We're talking about manufactured jealousy, but the technical term for it is narcissistic triangulation.
Now the key word here is strategic. This is not a clumsy accident. They are deliberately introducing a so-called rival. And this person doesn't even have to be real. It could be an ex they suddenly won't stop talking about, a new coworker who's just so funny, or even just a vague hint about their options. The goal is always the same: to light a fire of fear, anxiety, and possessiveness inside of you. That chaos makes you work harder, makes you try to prove yourself, makes you pour all your energy back into them.
And this is the great deception. What you're supposed to think is, oh no, they're interested in someone else. I'm about to be replaced. And of course, that causes panic. But the true motive? It has absolutely nothing to do with that other person. The real goal is to prop up their own fragile ego. Your panicked, jealous reaction is what's called narcissistic supply. Think of it as their emotional fuel. Your distress makes them feel important, desirable, and in control.
Let this one really sink in, because it changes everything. That rival, the person you're suddenly obsessing over and competing with, is irrelevant. They're a prop, a pawn in a game they probably don't even know they're playing. The manipulator isn't looking for a connection with them. They're looking for a reaction from you. Your fear, your anxiety, your desperate attempts to win them back, that is the prize. Your emotional breakdown is their victory lap.
Okay, so we know what it is, triangulation, and we know why they do it, for narcissistic supply. But how does it work so damn well? How does it trap you so effectively? Let's break down the engine of this manipulation, which is called the threat induction loop.
It's a pretty simple and pretty nasty three-step cycle. First, you've got threat induction. This is the bait. They casually drop a mention of the rival, and boom, that triggers an immediate, gut-level fear of being abandoned. Next comes competitive entanglement. Once that fear is switched on, your focus shifts. You're no longer thinking about yourself, you're just thinking about how to beat this other person. You become more compliant, you try harder to please, and finally, reinforcement. You're jealous, obedient, scramble to win them back is the payoff. It's that potent hit of narcissistic supply that validates their power, which of course, just makes them want to do it all over again.
You know, there's actually a clinical name for that frantic feeling, that urge to fix things right now. It's called protest behavior. It's that flurry of texts, the anxious phone calls, the need to prove your worth. It's a totally normal human reaction to the fear of disconnection. But here's the twisted part. That raw, authentic emotional reaction you're having, that's not a surprise to them. It's the desired outcome.
They didn't just hope you'd react that way, they engineered it.
So we've seen the mechanism, but why is it so brutally effective? To really get it, we need to dive into the psychology of this game, from both sides of the chessboard. What makes the manipulator do it, and what makes the target so vulnerable to it?
It really is like a lock and a key. On the manipulator side, it's all about status elevation. Your jealousy proves they're a hot commodity. It also helps them avoid their own deep-seated feelings of shame and inadequacy. For them, your competition is a balm for their fragile ego. And on the target side, well, this tactic perfectly exploits an anxious attachment style, triggering that primal fear of being left alone. And that intense fear kicks off something called cognitive dissonance, where your brain starts doing mental gymnastics to justify the pain.
And this right here is the most insidious mental trap of all. Your brain can't stand the thought that you're in this much pain for nothing, so it creates a story to make it make sense. And that story is, wow, if I'm feeling this intensely, they must be worth fighting for. You start to mistake the intensity of the manipulation for the value of the person. Your own mind starts reframing their cruelty as evidence of their high worth. It's a powerful illusion.
All right, enough of the problem. Let's talk about the solution. Understanding all this is one thing, but how do you actually fight back? How do you break the cycle? Let's pivot from analysis to action.
It really boils down to two critical moves. First, you have to name the tactic. When they dangle that bait in front of you, you need to see it for what it is. In your head, you say, okay, I see you. That's triangulation. That's manufactured jealousy. Just naming it creates distance. It reminds you this isn't a sign to try harder, it's a sign they're playing a game. And second, you have to refuse the competition. This is the big one. You make a conscious choice not to engage. No frantic efforts, no desperate texts. You simply drop the rope.
A really powerful, practical way to do this is called the gray rock method. It's just what it sounds like. You become as boring and unresponsive as a gray rock. They mention their ex, you say, oh, okay, and change the subject. You give them nothing. No anger, no sadness, no fear. Remember, your emotional reaction is their drug. If you don't give them a hit, the game stops being fun for them really fast.
But look, techniques like gray rocking are just tools. The real armor is built on the inside. The ultimate defense is prioritizing your self-sovereignty. It's that deep, core belief that your worth as a human being is not up for debate. It doesn't have to be earned or won in some sick, rigged competition. It's non-negotiable, period.
And that leads us to the most powerful takeaway of all. Once you finally understand the game, you realize the only way to win is to refuse to play.
This is the single biggest mental shift you can make. That awful gut punch of anxiety you feel, you've been conditioned to interpret that as a signal that you need to fight harder. I want you to start hearing it as an alarm bell. It's just your nervous system telling you, warning, manipulation is in progress. That's all it means.
That anxiety is not proof that the rival is a real threat. It is not proof that you're about to be abandoned. And it is absolutely not a command that you have to obey. It's just a symptom of the game being played on you. You don't have to listen to it.
And so you're left with this simple, liberating truth. When someone invites you into a rigged competition, a game where your pain is their prize, you can't win by playing harder. You just can't. The only winning move is to decline the invitation. You refuse to even step into the arena.
So, let's wrap this up. First, always remember, manufactured jealousy is just a control tactic. It's a tool they use to extract narcissistic supply. The pattern is predictable. They induce a threat to force you into a competition, and your panicked obedience is what proves to them that they're in charge. But the loophole, the way out, is awareness. When you can name the tactic and refuse to compete, you break the entire cycle. You take back your power. And by doing that, you reclaim the fundamental truth that makes you immune to this game. Your worth is and always was completely non-negotiable.